It's been 3 years since I spoke to my father. 3 long years of silence, all because of one night that we both wish we could forget. The argument still echoes in my mind sometimes. You always said family comes first, Dad. I remember yelling, the frustration boiling over. But when I needed you the most, you weren't there. His voice was stern, laced with a weariness I didn't understand back then. I was working, James. Everything I did, it was for you, but all I could see was the empty chair at my graduation, the phone that never rang. You missed it. You didn't even call. I thought you'd understand, he said, the gap between us widening with every word. I did, I replied, my voice cold, until I realized you never will. That was the last thing I said before I walked out the door, slamming it shut on my childhood, on my father, on us. I thought leaving would set me free. I thought distance would solve everything. But all it did was carve out a hollow space inside me, an emptiness that no amount of time or success could fill. The anger I carried was a heavy burden, weighing me down day after day. Then, 2 years later, my phone buzzed, an unknown number. My first instinct was to ignore it, to swipe it away like I'd swiped away my past, but something made me look closer, and then I saw the name that flashed on the screen. A single word that stopped my heart. Dad, I answered, my hand trembling slightly. His voice came through the speaker, weaker than I remembered, fragile. James, it's me. He paused, as if gathering his strength. I'm at the hospital. Don't worry, it's not too bad. I just wanted to hear your voice. All the old arguments, all the hurt, rushed to the surface. Why now? I asked, the words sharper than I intended. There was a long sigh on the other end. Because I didn't know how to before, he admitted, his voice cracking. I let my pride build walls instead of bridges. And I'm tired, son. I'm so tired. I just want to fix what's broken. Another silence stretched between us. But this time, it was different. It wasn't a silence filled with anger or unspoken accusations. This one was filled with a possibility I hadn't allowed myself to consider for years. It didn't hurt. In a strange way, it felt like the beginning of healing. Walking into that sterile hospital room was one of the hardest things I've ever done. He was propped up against the pillows, looking smaller, more frail than the powerful figure I held in my memory. You look weaker than I remember, I said softly, the observation slipping out before I could stop it. A faint smile touched his lips. Getting old does that, but seeing you again, it makes me feel alive. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a deep, unspoken regret. You should have told me sooner, I said, a mix of concern and old resentment in my voice. I was scared, he confessed, looking down at his hands. Scared you wouldn't come. I took a deep breath, the sterile hospital smell filling my lungs. I almost didn't. I admitted honestly, but then I realized, if I waited for the perfect timing, for the anger to completely disappear, I might never see you again. And in that moment, something shifted. Forgiveness, I learned, isn't always about grand apologies or dramatic declarations. Sometimes it's just about sitting in quiet understanding. It's about looking at the person who broke your heart and finally seeing them not as a villain, but as a flawed, fragile human being, just like you. He reached for my hand, his grip surprisingly firm. "Promise me one thing, son." "What's that?" "Don't wait too long to say what matters," he urged, his gaze intense. "People don't stay forever." That night, I didn't just visit my father. I found a part of myself that I had buried under years of anger and pride. And as he held my hand, the long, painful silence that had defined our relationship for 3 years finally felt like peace. If this story resonated with you, please consider sharing it. Sometimes the most important calls are the ones we're most afraid to make. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the heart.